Welcome back, everybody. It's the Fantasy Pros Dynasty Fantasy Football Podcast. I'm your host, Scott Bogman. Follow me on the Twitter at Bogman Sports. I'm joined, as always, by Pat Fitzmaurice at Fitz_FF on the Twitter machine. And joining us to do a Superflex 3-round rookie mock draft is Debro at Debro_FFB on the Twitter machine. Gentlemen, we're in the middle of free agency. We're not going to talk about that today because there's still too much going on. We're just going to hit these rookies, but there's so much going on. Fitz, how has your week been, and how are you enjoying the whirlwind of the NFL right now?
Oh, man, I'm enjoying it. It's fun to react to all of this breaking news, as Debro and Andrew Erickson and I have been doing for the last several days. Plus, man, March Madness, spring training, golf. We've got everything cooking right now. World Baseball Classic. I mean, this is a fun time of the year. Good time on the sports calendar.
Yeah, March is always great, Debro. Happy to have you with us. You join us on our stages all the time, but here we see you, your smiling face, the glorious beard, all that good stuff. And how has your offseason been? And are you ready to rock and roll in the Superflex Dynasty mock here?
Guys, it's another day just living the dream. I get to sit here and talk prospects while I'm wearing a hoodie and my Space Jam sleep pants right now. So I've got nothing to complain about, man. It's just another day just living it up, man.
That's right. I mean, it beats digging ditches, right? This is absolutely outstanding. Like I said, we're going to go 3 rounds here. Pat and I did this a couple weeks ago, obviously, before the Combine. Now we're post-Combine doing this, so there are going to be some changes in the picks. Debro is going to pick first. Pat will pick second, and I'll pick third. But before we jump in, I got to tell you guys about Reality Sports Online. And by now, most of you have already heard of Reality Sports Online, the powerful fantasy sports platform where owners get to build and manage their fantasy team like an NFL general manager. But the question is, have you tried it? It's time to see what all the buzz in the Dynasty community is about. Free agency, multi-year contracts, a rookie draft, multi-team trades, franchise tags, contract extensions, first-round rookie options, automated contract, and salary cap functionality, and much, much more. Think it sounds complicated? It's not. The best thing about Reality Sports Online Fantasy Front Office is that it doesn't take any more time than a standard league. It just requires more strategy. Think you're among the fantasy elite? Well, this is the platform to test your mettle. Still not sure? You can test out your general manager skills for free, FREE, in a mock. If you like what you see, use the promo code FantasyPros to receive a 10% discount on your team or league today. Fantasy just got real at realitysportsonline.com. All right, Debro, we're going to let you have the first selection here. You are up number 1. Don't disappoint me. It is Superflex, of course, but who are you taking 1 overall in this rookie draft here?
I don't care if it's 1 QB. I don't care if it's Superflex. Bijan Robinson's the 101. I'm not shattering any kind of glass, telling anything people that they already know this. But, I mean, he's locked in 101 for me. He's probably going to get first-round draft capital. He's been top 20 in PFF elusive rating and yards after contact in back-to-back seasons. He's going to go into the NFL as a 3-down workhorse. Bijan it is.
I mean, it's just too easy, right? Right, Fitz?
Yep. I think so. Yeah. Slam dunk.
Is there like a team he can go to where you're like, maybe not number 1 overall in a Superflex, or is it just, it doesn't matter where he goes, he's taking over?
Nope. Doesn't matter for me. He's going to get the capital, and if you're putting the capital, if a team is putting the capital behind him, he's going to get the work. We know that.
Yeah, it's too easy. Look, I'm giving you guys outs to not take Bijan here. I mean, look, I've got my Texas gear on. I'm ready to rock and roll. You guys know my opinion here, but I just wanted to make sure. This is the standard. This is going to stay the standard. It doesn't really matter.
Boggs, the Texas stuff that you're wearing, all I heard you say is that you're taking Roschon Johnson at 103. So if you don't end up doing that, then I feel like it's kind of a fail for the show.
I mean, I feel like Fitz actually likes Roschon more than me, and I did not think that was humanly possible. So he drafted him the last time we did this. So, but Fitz, you're up for the second pick in a Superflex rookie mock. Who's it going to be?
I'm going to take CJ Stroud, quarterback from Ohio State. And we have talked about this, Boggs, and how there is this dilemma in this year's rookie drafts where you've got Anthony Richardson, the uber toolsy but unrefined prospect who, has 1,000-yard rushing season in his range of outcomes, but has only started one college season at quarterback and failed to complete 55% of his passes in that season. Whereas CJ Stroud and Bryce Young are these ultra refined quarterbacks, offensive coordinators' dreams, guys who are going to step right in and be able to run the playbook, process everything, be anticipatory throwers. So I'm taking CJ Stroud. I kind of think the Panthers are going to make the same choice, although maybe I'm second guessing that a little bit now that they brought in Andy Dalton, a guy who could potentially be a long-range bridge quarterback if they really want to nurture Anthony Richardson and go with him at 101. But I'm going to go with Stroud. I think the floor is really high here, and I think the ceiling's pretty high too. I mean, we forget what a war machine the Ohio State offense has been the last couple of years. And granted, there's a lot of talent around Stroud or was in Columbus, but he was the engine.
Yeah, I understand that, and I do believe that CJ Stroud, if you're looking at this QB class, especially the top 4, they're all definitely going to go in the first round, probably all in the top 5 to 10 picks here. The safest guy is CJ Stroud. I think the other guys have their warts, of course. That puts me up for pick number 3. I am going to take Anthony Richardson, and this is just pure upside. And, we talked about this in the last mock 2, Fitz. A month ago, that's not the pick. Anthony Richardson is not the pick, because if you see someone that could slip, it's Anthony Richardson. But the combine showed how athletic he is. It's making some of these teams drool. And I still think he's going to go. He has boosted himself inside the top 10 picks at the very least. And guys in the top 10 don't not start football games their rookie season. And guys that start that are not as accurate as him are going to use their legs. Look at what Justin Fields did last year, and he's way more accurate than Anthony Richardson. Anthony Richardson just passed Cam Newton in relative athletic score for the number 1 QB tested all time at the combine. This is a guy where the ceiling is absolutely enormous. That's what you're buying at this pick. That's what you're buying at pick 3, is you're buying a gigantic ceiling for this guy. So Stroud and Richardson, D-Bro, that puts you up. What do you think of those picks? And then let us know who you're taking at pick number 4 here.
I mean, I agree with everything that's happened so far here. CJ Stroud is my clear QB1. I love Anthony Richardson and I love his upside, but there's no way that I look at CJ Stroud as being a tier by himself, both for floor and ceiling. So chasing the ceiling, I would have gone with the same pick, Boggs, with Anthony Richardson. And with this being Superflex, I'm going to stay hammering quarterbacks here, man. Let's go Bryce Young. We know that he's going to get the capital. Him and Anthony Richardson and CJ Stroud, all of these guys are not falling outside of the top 5 picks. So that type of capital, we can talk about Bryce Young, and I'm probably a little bit lower on Bryce Young versus consensus. And this is not like me being a hater, but I do think that he obviously has things like most rookies do to clean up in his game, his size and stuff. I don't look at, as long as he can view the entire field, go through his progressions and utilize the middle of the field, which we've seen him do at Alabama, then I don't have as many concerns about his size and the athleticism and his weight as many as other people do. So Bryce Young is the easy pick here at 104 for me.
Excellent. I think that's a great pick, and we're cruising right along here with QBs, and I would take him over Levis as well. And you're up for pick number 5 here, Fitz. Is this Will Levis, or are you going to go? Is he the quarterback that might slip here, and are you going to go with a different position?
Nope, I'm going with Will Levis at 105. And it is my belief that after Bijan Robinson, those top 4 quarterbacks should go 2, 3, 4, 5. And I think Levis is pretty clearly the QB4 at this point. Doesn't have the obvious rushing upside that Anthony Richardson has, and doesn't have the polish of Stroud or Bryce Young. But I mean, Levis still has that big league arm, man. And he is a willing and able runner. I think we could overdo the Josh Allen comparisons. And as our buddy Thor Nystrom has pointed out, Levis is not really the same type of runner as Josh Allen, where there's a little bit of nuance to Allen's running ability Levis is just a straight line guy who has taken some nasty shots as a result of that. Hopefully he perfects his sliding skills at the NFL level. But yeah, I do think there's a lot of upside still with Will Levis. Probably raw, might not start from day one in the NFL, but he's going to get his shot really soon. And I think he's going to go inside the top 10 picks in the NFL draft.
Yeah, I think so too. I think that, if I had to pick one to slip, it would be Will Levis, just because he hasn't done as much testing as the other guys have. And it's kind of become a theme when talking about him recently, D-Bro, is what is he hiding? What is he trying to hide? That's kind of been the theme. I don't know. I still think he's a very skilled QB, and he's worthy of going in the first half of the first round. But if I had to pick a guy to slip, it would be him, not just because he is fourth probably on this list in terms of talent, but because he has been hiding a little bit from some testing. So I think that's a good selection. But you are up for pick number 6 here in the first round. Or no, I'm up because
you got 106, Boggs.
Yeah, my bad. I'm up for pick 6. I'm too busy hosting over here. I'm going to go with Jahmyr Gibbs. I made this pick immediately after Fitz did, so I had already skipped it in my mind. Jahmyr Gibbs, we've talked about it before, is an Alvin Kamara clone to me. Like, will he have that type of success? He's got to prove it, of course. Any rookie coming in does. But in terms of skill set, he's very, very much like Alvin Kamara. I think it's a good comparison. And he is going to be a plug-and-play 3-down back for wherever he goes, most likely, unless he ends up with another big back. But I think this is a guy that you take early, probably early in the second round. He's definitely an early day 2 pick at the very least, and he becomes the lead for a team. So, for me, Fitz, you would kind of propose this question to us before we started. Where does the talent fall off in the first round? For me, this is it. And it's not that I don't like any of the wide receivers, but I see this in a super flex as a clear tier. You have the 2 big RBs, you have the 4 QBs, and to me, now it's everything else. I don't know if you guys agree with that, but D-Bro, you're up. Do you agree with that? And then let's let Fitz talk about that.
Yeah, I don't agree with that, Boggs, because my pick, I put on the same kind of tier, and I think that you can also include like Dalton Kincaid in that tier. So I think the fall off is a little bit later than you, but I mean, I know that a lot of people are down on this wide receiver class as a whole, as far as like looking at it and looking at the top tier talent too.
Fitz, what do you think? Is this it, or is it a little bit later in the draft for you?
I think it's pick 109. I don't want to be at pick 109 in my most cherished Dynasty league. I'm at pick 109. I hate it. I'm going to deal out. I'm either going to deal up, down, or completely out. I don't like it at all. I mean, I like the first 4 quarterbacks, the first 2 running backs, the first 2 wide receivers, and then I think there's a crash.
There's a crash after that?
Yeah, let me check back with you on something you said, Boggs. You said you think Gibbs is going to be a plug-and-play 3-down back. Do you really think he's going to be an early down guy? Like, I worry about that. I mean, he's a little light for that.
I understand that, but I think that he is going to be picked so early that's a guy that you give that job to. It really depends. I mean, if he landed somewhere like New Orleans, you know what I mean, where they already have Jamal Williams, then yes. So landing spot is going to matter for him. But I do like if he went to Chicago, I'm not playing Khalil Herbert over him on most snaps. Herbert's now a change of pace guy. And I like Herbert, you know what I mean? But I think Gibbs is that upper level top 15 back in the NFL when he comes in type of talent where I give him most downs. He's going to have to prove himself in pass protection, of course, but I think he's going to be on the field most of the time. And, 2-minute drills, because of his pass catching ability, he's the guy. So I do think that he is an early down back coming into the NFL. Obviously, once again, landing spot is everything. But as of now, I would put him in that category for sure. So, D-Bro, you're up. It's pick number 7 here. And I believe you said the first wide receiver is coming off the board.
Yeah, I mean, you made this easy for me, Boggs. As soon as I saw you put Gibbs in the sheet, I was like, oh, yes, baby. JSN, come on down. Jaxon Smith-Njigba. I love it. I love his talent. I think, and that's part of why You had me looking at my ranks and stuff. I think the fall off for this is probably at 110 for me. There's another guy that I'm going to eke into that top tier. We'll talk about him probably in a little bit, but JSN is fantastic. I think that he is going to be a plug and play target hog as soon as he gets to the NFL. I love his ability. I do not care that he is a slot only player. And the other thing I'll give pushback to people, and I actually, our colleague, my buddy Thor Nystrom, and I actually have a bet right now that's live about how many snaps that JSN plays in his rookie season out wide, because I think that he can win there. I do. I think that he has the footwork, the route nuance to win on the perimeter. Is that going to be where he, butters his bread? No, it's going to be in the slot. But can he win on the outside, considering his ability as a route technician and the short area agility that we saw him just break the combine with his short area scores? I love JSN so much. And one part of his game that I think also gets overlooked, because it wasn't a huge part of it, but we got to bring it up here, is he can also get free deep. This guy only had 16% of his targets in his massive breakout season at Ohio State that were deep. But if you look at the production that he had on those targets, guys, it was fantastic. He was 9th in yards per route run on deep targets. He was 1st in PFF deep receiving grade and 2nd in passer rating when targeted 20-plus yards down the field. So JSN is my clear wide receiver 1 in this class.
And he's one of the very few guys coming into the NFL at any point that is going to a worse wide receiver room, most likely, than he had at Ohio State. You have Garrett Wilson, Chris Olave, Marvin Harrison Jr., Emeka Egbuka. You have all of those guys, in your locker room. That's probably 6 pros. That is insane.
And
so
JSN was the alpha in that offense.
And so JSN was great. Yeah. I mean, my only concern about JSN is staying on the field. That's it. He's got everything else down. So, but there's your number 1 wide receiver at 7. Fitz, you're up for pick number 8. And what wide receiver are you taking?
Yeah, at 108, it's going to be Quentin Johnston. And I had him as my wide receiver 1 in this class, but I've since moved JSN ahead of him. So much of what Debro has said about JSN resonated with me, and the fact that they got a 1,600-yard season in his second to last college season with Chris Olave and Garrett Wilson on the field alongside him is pretty amazing. But Quentin Johnston, I think he is a classic X receiver. There just aren't many types like him in this draft, just the big, fast receivers. So I know he got off to kind of a sluggish start in his 2022 season for TCU. There have been debates, mainly between Debro and I, about how fast he really is. I think it's probably a legit 4.4 speed. I think Debro begs to differ, but I do. He can move. Ask the Michigan Wolverines. He can move. I'm impressed by this guy. I do think he's going to be someone's number 1 receiver in the NFL before long. And, I think he's a pretty solid first-round pick in rookie drafts.
I like it. Yeah, wide receivers flying off the board now that we don't have, a lot of quarterback talent left here. The running backs kind of take a dip as well. And this is the pick that you just mentioned, Fitz, that you don't want. You don't want pick 9. You want to pick in that top 8 because you get either one of those 4 QBs, those 2 RBs, or the top 2 wide receivers. So this is kind of a tough one. For me, it's not that tough. I'm taking Jordan Addison, the wide receiver out of USC, a Biletnikoff winner the year before when he played with Kenny Pickett at Pitt. I do think he still goes in the first round. He tested terribly at the combine, not very good. That does give me a little concern about his ability to separate at the next level. And he's not really a contested catch guy, but he snaps off routes. He has so much nuance in his hand fighting. He has all the little intricacies already of a veteran wide receiver. So I think that you don't have to put up those numbers when you have shown it repeatedly on the field in college. I still think he's one of the best wide receivers in this class. He does have to move down my board a little bit. I had him as my number 1 before. I think he's probably my number 3 now, but I'm going to take Jordan Addison, the wide receiver out of USC. Debro, you are going to be up for pick number 10. What do you think of Addison there?
I love Addison. I know that the combine testing wasn't great. Is that really going to be a feather in his cap? No. But you look at Addison's game. I mean, he's been top 22 in both PFF receiving grade and yards per route run over the last 2 seasons. And we need to bring this up, playing different roles at totally different schools. So adjusting to new quarterbacks, also new roles in an offense, going from the slot, which he played in the previous 2 seasons, to now being a perimeter wide receiver. I think I'd have a lot more concerns for Addison if we did not see that final season and see him prove that he can win on the outside. And so for me, plus with the collegiate production, that puts him, like, I get the testing stuff as a worry, but if we're looking at any position where the testing is a little bit more, I'm not going to say marginalized, but wide receivers, you can go down the laundry list of guys that run 4.6s, run 4.5s, that don't test as great, but they're great route runners. They know how to get open, and they're good at the game of football, that I'm not worried about Jordan Addison.
Keenan Allen, another Pac-12 guy.
Ooh.
Yep.
Yeah.
As a guy who didn't test well. When Keenan Allen, what did he run? Like a 4.68 or something at the combine? And
4.6.
Yeah. So that might be a good comp.
That's in terms of production for sure. I mean, absolutely. So I think Addison's going to come in and be a number 1 pretty quick here. D-Bro, you're up for pick number 10. Who's it going to be?
Okay, guys. So I'm wrestling back and forth. All right.
Do it.
I'm in between 2 different guys right here, and I'm going to follow the draft capital, and I'm just going to follow it with a guy that I love anyway. Give me Zay Flowers here. I love Zay Flowers, and the fact that he weighed in the 180s and he still ran in the 4.4s, I think is fantastic. We saw him add weight, bulk up, and he didn't lose any of his speed and explosiveness. Now, if you look at his metrics from college, are they glittering and fantastic? No. He had garbage quarterback play at Boston College that he's having to deal with. And the fact that he overcame that, I love Zay Flowers so much, man. Like, I have no questions about his ability, to play on the outside. We saw that at Boston College. I think that transfers to the NFL because his ability as a route technician is fantastic. People want to talk about, man and press and blah, 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 blah. Small PSA for people out there. The NFL has gone away from so much man and press. You can name on one hand, maybe 2 hands, barely, about teams that run a ton of man and press. And even if they do it, it is not their primary coverage now in the NFL. So when we're talking about these wide receivers, we also need to understand from the lens of, yes, is that part of his game? And I have no concerns about his ability to beat man and press because he gets off the line. His ability as an after the catch guy is fantastic. I have no qualms about Zay Flowers, and I think him running a 4.4 locked him into the first round. Let's go.
What would you say? Because this is my concern, not just with a guy like Zay Flowers and his weight, but I love Josh Downs. He came in undersized too. There's a lot of Tank Dell is a great wide receiver that came in well undersized, right? So there's a lot of those guys. We were in on Sky Moore last year, and size concerns, more fumbling for him, but didn't make it happen. Are you still in on Sky Moore? After his fall in his rookie year, and tell me, just give me a separator from that issue with some of these smaller guys coming in.
I think there's differing parts of these guys' games now versus Sky Moore. I still like him, man. I'm not out on him. He's a talented guy. He was
great time to buy
by Andy Reid, and Juju leaving there. I'm still in on Sky Moore. I've got him everywhere, and I'm holding. I'm not giving him up.
It was more about the guys in front of him then, not him.
Yes.
Okay, and that makes sense.
I think the differentiator when you're looking at a Zay Flowers versus a Josh Downs in this class, and you're looking at 2 guys. One, Zay came in and he weighed in much 10 to 12 pounds different than with Josh Downs. And I had to pull up Josh Downs' official weight, but it was in the 170s. So as well as we've seen Zay win on the outside. We have not seen that out of Josh Downs. Josh Downs has been a primarily slot wide receiver in college. Now, does that mean he cannot win on the outside? No, I'm not saying that. But when you look at these two guys' games, Zay Flowers has proved from an ability and a tactician aspect that he has the ability to win on the outside and the polish
gets you on the field
game.
more. Like bottom line is it gets you on the field more. So
if you can start in 2 wide receiver sets, it does not matter what the coaches want to do, going 12, 13 personnel, or does not matter. You're not coming off the field. And I firmly believe that's for Zay Flowers.
Fitz, you're up for pick number 11. So your thoughts on Zay, and then who are you taking at 11 here?
I like Zay a lot. I probably would have taken him if D-Bro not made that pick. You guys are drinking some sweet, sweet Kool-Aid on Sky Moore. If you're using the excuse, the guys ahead of him, I mean, is there an easier wide receiver depth chart to climb? There aren't too many easier than the Chiefs. Oh, yeah. I mean, how is he ever going to get past Marquez Valdez-Scantling?
Yeah, but MVS had size. Like that was,
I know,
he was a decoy
they play
on
different
a lot
positions,
of plays.
granted, but man,
and Hardman kind of had a good year before he got hurt too. He was kind of breaking out.
I think they nerfed him and said, look, you came from a small school. There are things that we want in your game to sit here and flesh itself out. Because outside of that, why the hell was Justin Watson running more routes than him?
It comes down to the run blocking. That's why. I mean, these coaches, especially the old coaches like Andy Reid, you put the ball on the ground and you are going to the bench. And he did that twice. And I think that was really the issue with him. So he's got a much better chance to earn it and more experience this year. So I'm not out. Fitzy. I'm not out on Sky Moore just yet. He's not dead.
Just a note, Fitz, the Kool-Aid tastes very good. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
I would take a 3rd round rookie pick for Sky Moore right now if I have him.
Lordy. Okay. Yeah. All right.
All right.
That's where we're at. All right. So who's pick number 11? We know it's not Sky Moore.
I'm going to anticipate draft capital here, and I'm going to take Zach Charbonnet.
Good one.
Wrestled with.
Yeah, I mean, and the funny thing is, I don't think I'm quite as enamored with him as you guys are, but granted, he is one of the few bigger backs in this class. Does have an early down skill set. I'm intrigued for sure. I wasn't very enthusiastic about him from what I saw at Michigan. But obviously he was a new man at UCLA. On the other hand, I'm concerned, whenever guys just don't do much and then light it up against Pac-12 defenses, I'm always a little leery because I don't think they play defense in the Pac-12. But yeah, I mean, I'm going to go with Charbonnet because I do think he's going to get day 2 draft capital and go somewhere where he's going to be used right away.
I love this pick, Fitz. I think it's a great. I think it's a great fit. His vision is great. He has burst. He can catch the ball a little bit out of the backfield too. He is more of a complete back, specifically because of his size. He's a big back too. He's a much more complete back than a lot of guys in this class. I'm really interested to see where he lands because I think this is a dude that can earn early playing time. We saw Antonio Gibson kind of do that as a 3rd, 4th round guy too. So D-Bro, I mean, I'm in on Charbonnet. I do think he is RB number 3. I don't think it's particularly close. No. I feel like it's these 3 guys in a tier, and now there's a bunch after these guys. But your thoughts on Charbonnet?
Well, I might upset you here, Boggs, but I was hoping that Charbonnet is probably going to be one of those flags that I plant in my rookie drafts. I have him as my RB2. So as high as y'all are on him, I have him above Gibbs because like what Fitz was talking about earlier, Gibbs weighing in under 200 pounds. Does that mean that I'm out on Jahmyr Gibbs? No. But does that change the color of the painting here as far as the workload, his upside, and bump him out of a tier of guys? Because as much as people want to talk about, okay, the 200-pound mark, 205 mark is arbitrary, if you look at the NFL and workloads over the past 5 to 10 years, it is not arbitrary at all. The guys that can garner high workloads under 200 pounds is a very small list. So give me Charbonnet as my RB2. I love his skill set, and I think his pass game usage could surprise people, not as a route guy, not as a guy they're going to see split the slot or out wide and stuff like that, but as a check down guy, I think he is going to be plenty good there to sit there and run pass routes and get some targets in the NFL.
I like it. I got the last pick here in the first round, and I think I'm going to throw a little bit of a curveball here. I'm taking Luke Musgrave, the tight end out of Oregon State, because when you watch him on film, now look, this guy is a boom or bust pick here. This is a high ceiling, low floor pick because the guy has been hurt, and you know he needs a lot of refinement. But when you look at the body type and the type of pass catcher he is for fantasy, this is not a guy that's going to come in and be a blocking back at all. He is definitely a receiving tight end. He is not going to be playing in line as much as other tight ends, which may limit his on-field production in his rookie season. But when I've been looking at tight ends over the last couple of years, this is the closest to Travis Kelce that I've seen on film. And it's a lot of the same body type. I understand that, but his frame is huge. He catches the ball away from his frame. He's a red zone target. He can get open. He doesn't have to be crisp on routes because of his size, and he runs past a corner or a linebacker. He bodies up a corner. He is a mismatch nightmare. I'm very interested to see where this guy ends up, because if he ends up in Baltimore, you already have Isaiah Likely, you got Mark Andrews there, you have guys. But if he ends up in Houston, now all of a sudden we got a lot of targets that could possibly head his way. So it depends on how far he falls because of his injury history, and where he ends up obviously is going to play a big role in this. In a class with a ton of great tight ends, I like Luke Musgrave for fantasy the most because of that high ceiling, but the floor is very low, and I acknowledge that. So that will wrap up the first round. We'll go through it one more time. At pick number 1, Debro takes Bijan. At 2, Fitz takes CJ Stroud. I took Anthony Richardson, pick 3, then Bryce Young, Will Levis, Jahmyr Gibbs, Jackson Smith and Njigba, Quentin Johnston, Jordan Addison, Zay Flowers, Zach Charbonnet, and Luke Musgrave to round it out. So, Fitz, your thoughts on the first round overall before we move to the second?
I agree with the quarterback run at the top. And, I don't think anything was too wild. I think the Musgrave pick was probably the one flyer pick in there. But yeah, not too many surprises.
All right. Debro, your thoughts on the first round?
I'm happy that you just let my guy that I was going to sit here and take fall to me. So I think the first round is pretty much set for how now the order might change for some people, but I think this top 10 that we're kind of looking at right now, probably top 11, top 10, top 11 is probably how most rookie drafts are going to go in Superflex formats.
I think so too. I really do. I think my Musgrave one maybe threw a wrench in it, but we got to do something interesting and unique here. So let me throw Musgrave in there because I am very, very high on him. Before we go to round 2, let me tell you guys about the YouTube channel. Subscribe to the Fantasy Pros YouTube channel and comment below on this video, because when you do, you could win a free FREE upgrade to Fantasy Pros Premium, whether you're looking for custom mock drafts, salary cap draft tools, or in-depth analysis of your fantasy performance. Fantasy Pros Premium has the tools to help you win. Unlock the most powerful tools in the fantasy industry. Don't want it to wait for the giveaway. Sign up today at fantasypros.com/premium and play smarter, not harder. All right, Debro, you are back up for the first pick in the second round. Who is it going to be, my friend?
Dalton Kincaid is not falling any farther, boys. He's not going to. He's going to go first round in the NFL draft. I love him. And I thought I was drinking all kinds of special Kool-Aid whenever I started watching his tape. And I'm sitting here texting with our buddy Thor. And I was like, I might be crazy and I don't throw out these hyperbolic comps, but I see freaking Travis Kelce when I watch Dalton Kincaid. His movement skills are special. And people, look, check the receipts. You can go check out my tight end primer on this class, and that is my comp for Dalton Kincaid. This tight end class is that good, and so is Kincaid. He's been top 13 in yards per route run over back-to-back seasons, top 12 in PFF receiving grades amongst tight ends. And the part that I think that really makes him special, guys, is his ability after the catch. He was 3rd in missed tackles forced amongst tight ends, and his ability to get deep. You look at, he was 5th in deep receiving yards and 13th in deep receiving yards per route run amongst all tight ends last year. Dalton Kincaid is going to be one of these guys that we say breaks the mold, and I think he can hit the ground running as long as we don't get some stupid type of coaching for the team that drafts him. I think he can hit the ground running and be a stud in the NFL.
I love that pick. Yeah, I mean, Kincaid to me is easily the safest tight end in this class in terms of floor. I think he's definitely safe. He can do a little bit of it all. Fitz, your thoughts on that pick, and then you're up for pick number 2.
Yep, good pick. He's my TE1-2 in this class. Like we'll see about the Travis Kelce comps, but I get it. Like I've seen the film on him, and he is a smooth mover for sure. So at 202, I'm going to take Devon Achane. And Boggs knows, regular listeners of this show know that I've had my picked up my sword and shield for Devon Achane on several different occasions. Yes, he's a smaller back, but he obviously can fly. 4.3, fastest running back at the combine. But like he's not just like a go down with an arm tackle kind of guy. Like he has great contact balance. And as Debro well knows and has complained about too, like Jimbo Fisher and his staff at Texas A&M often ran Devon Achane between the tackles, like probably more than was sensible. But like he could get it done between the tackles. Maybe not against some of the tougher defenses like Alabama, but like he's not as one-dimensional as you would think for a running back who's played in his shoes to get to 190 pounds. So Devon Achane at 202.
The pick is fine. Obviously, I'm not as in on Devon Achane as you are, but you can't blame Texas A&M for running in between the tackles, because if my choice is to run Devon Achane or let any of their quarterbacks last year throw the ball, I'm running Devon Achane too, because their quarterbacks were god awful at A&M. This is a difficult pick for me. I'm kind of in between some players that I like, but I mean, let's just do it here, guys. Let's take Roschon Johnson here. He is moving up and up and up. Look, I want a running back, and there are some in this class, but Roschon Johnson is an afterthought at Texas. And I hate to say it because I'm the Texas fan, but he is an afterthought because Bijan gets so much hype, and Bijan was the main guy at Texas too. But this guy is a closer. He is probably a B back, but he's your early down Jamal Williams type of hulking back that is going to run guys over, specifically at the end of the game. At the end of the game, if you're up, you're sitting on a lead, you want the ball in this guy's hands, especially running against some tired defenses, because he can make the explosive run if you give him that daylight, but he is going to churn, and keep moving the ball. And, Debro, we've talked about this a lot. Volume in the NFL is king for fantasy production. And this is a guy that is at least a first and second down guy. Big guy, came in as a quarterback at Texas, moved positions to running back. So he's still learning the position as well, but he is an excellent back. I think he's overlooked. I think Fitzy is the only guy that I know that hasn't overlooked Roschon. So Roschon 2 and Debro, that makes Roschon 3 in the second round. That puts you up for pick number 4.
I love Roschon, but I don't love Roschon as much as you do, Boggs. I have Roschon as my RB, let me see here, 6. But I still love his game. But I think this is where the Texas hoodie came out in this draft. I am going to go with Josh Downs here. I think that he gets second-round draft capital in the NFL. I think that he's going to be a plug-and-play slot guy. I love his after-the-catch ability. And he checks so many different boxes, like if you're looking from an analytical standpoint. 87 percentile breakout age, 97 percentile collegiate target share. And the other thing about it, and Boggs, we have talked about this already, so I know you know where I'm going with this, but Josh Downs has one of the most dependable set of hands in this entire class, like top 3. Out of all wide receivers with 100 more targets last year, he was second in contested catch rate. So give me Josh Downs. I think he's going to earn targets in an NFL offense immediately.
Routes like Deontay, racks like Debo. I love Josh Downs. I love that pick. That is a good one. Fitz, you're up for pick number 5 in the second round. Who you got?
All right, we have got this guy too low in our consensus Dynasty Superflex rookie rankings, but it's not my fault. I'm going to go with Hendon Hooker.
Okay.
And, I think he should be an early second-round pick. There is a big drop off from the top 4 to Hooker, and then there's a big drop off to whoever's next after him. I think he's pretty much going to play as soon as he gets healthy. He's going to go somewhere where he presumably, like, he's an interesting possibility for a lot of teams that are not going to be in position to take one of these top guys. Tampa, for instance, would be a real interesting possible destination for Hendon Hooker. I mean, like, he is a potential Konami code quarterback when he gets in, who can throw and run. And yes, he's overaged, coming off the torn ACL. You're not going to get a lot out of him his rookie year, most likely. Down the stretch, who knows? But, like, I think by next year, he could be a fantasy viable quarterback.
I think if he hadn't torn his knee, we'd be talking about Hendon Hooker versus Will Levis right now. I think we really would. So that's kind of where we stand with him. I'm with you on that one. I think that's a good pick. And that kind of, I mean, quarterbacks after that get real dicey, even in a super flex. So it's going to make it difficult. At pick number 6 here, I'm going to go with Jalin Hyatt, the wide receiver from Tennessee. And this is another guy that, you know, D-Bro's mentioned a couple times, just a slot guy. He is not going to go to the outside and win a ton there. He is mainly a slot guy. But if you've listened to Steve Smith break down some of these wide receivers and defensive backs in this class, it's so much fun. He says, Jalin Hyatt is always open. And they say, well, he's in college and they design it for him. Why isn't anyone else as open as Jalin Hyatt? He is always open. He snaps off routes. He gets great separation, 15 touchdowns this year, can make his way into the end zone with the ball in his hands as well. So I love Jalin Hyatt. I will take him here at pick number 6. D-Bro, that picks you up for pick number 7.
Apparently I'm the tight end whisperer on this episode, guys. I'm going to go with Michael Mayer. I think we're looking at probably first-round draft capital, if not like top 2 rounds. I think that he is going to be a plug-and-play 3-down guy. He's a mauler in the run game, really good in the pass game. Last year, first in yards per route run, second in PFF receiving grade amongst all tight ends. So, yeah, Michael Mayer, let's go.
All right, Fitzy, you're up.
I can't believe someone not named Derek Brown is going to make this pick. It's going to be Evan Hall, the running back from Northwestern.
No. I can't believe you did this to me, man. Oh,
it's your fault, bro. You have sold me on him. You have sold me on him, man. And that 4.47 dash at the combine didn't hurt. And as Thor has pointed out, our guy Thor Nystrom, I mean, we know what Hall can do in the NFL. Like, this guy's going to come in and be a passing down back right away. Led all Division I or FBS running backs in receptions last year. This guy's going to be a passing down back with early down potential because he's not a small guy. And, he's fast, he's tough. He played in some garbage Northwestern offenses, and he was the show, man. He was the offense.
Fitz, you just hurt my heart. You hurt my soul.
Sorry,
Evan Hall is my RB4 in this class. So, yeah. I mean, I'm putting my money where my mouth is. I love the kid. Fantastic skill set. And yes, 3-down workhorse upside. Fitz, you owe me a drink after this for that pick.
The deal.
Got him.
Bourbon on me.
I love that. At pick number 9, I'm also going to go with a running back because there are so many good ones in this class. Give me Tyjae Spears, the smaller back out of Tulane, shifty, unbelievably productive in college last year, 19 touchdowns on the ground, 2 through the air as well on 22 catches. If you want to know everything you need to know about Tyjae Spears, go watch the Rose Bowl and watch him churn all over. It is a Pac-12 defense, and Lincoln Riley's not known for his defense, kind of Cliff Kingsbury-ish in the college ranks, but Tyjae Spears ripped them apart. And this is a small G5 school versus a Power 5 powerhouse, and he ran right through them, around them, over them, caught balls on them. I mean, he ripped them apart. That is the peak of what he can do. May have to earn it. It may have to earn some playing time in the NFL, but that's where we are at this point in the draft. So give me Tyjae Spears, RB out of Tulane. And D-Bro, that puts you back up.
Well, since Fitz decided to eviscerate me with his pick, which mine was going to be Evan Hall, I'm going to stay on the tight end position. And this just really comes down to the talent in this class. Give me Sam Laporta, baby. I love Sam Laporta so freaking much. And I think if you look at Daniel Jeremiah's ranks, who's more tied into the NFL than anybody, he's a top 60 player. I think he's going to get second-round draft capital. He is a receiving threat from the word go. He played 20% of his snaps as an outside wide receiver last year at Iowa. I think that his skill set is going to be plug and play to be a target earner immediately.
Man, a lot of tight ends. I love it. Fitz pick number 11 in the second round. Who you got?
So 211, I'm going to go with Kendre Miller, the running back from TCU. And I kind of got sold on him by Alex Dunlap of Roster Watch, who I just had on my show, who why are we passing on a guy who in a class full of smaller backs is, a 220-pound warhorse who you can bust out on early downs and but has a pretty solid all-around game, and he was ultra productive for TCU. I think Alex had a pretty good case. I'm taking Kendre Miller at 211.
Yeah, I mean, that's a good point here. So I'm just going to pile on at the end of the running backs, and I'm going to take a big guy that I like as well. Give me Tank Bigsby out of Auburn. I love this guy. I think he is shiftier than we are giving him credit for. I've seen him make a couple moves. I mean, he may have the slowest spin move I've ever seen, but he can stiff arm. He can juke. He can dance a little bit, and his vision is really good at the line too. So I think Tank Bigsby there's meat on the bone in terms of his production, and playing at a big school like Auburn against big time competition and coming through there, I think is another feather in the cap. So before we move on with the show, get ahead of the competition with our 2023 Dynasty Draft Kit at fantasypros.com/dynasty with expert rankings, trade advice, combine coverage, Dynasty rookie profiles, position primers, and more. You'll have everything you need to dominate your draft for free. Upgrade to premium unlocks even more draft strategy content in our draft kit, along with access to our Discord, which allows you to directly interact with our analysts like the three of us. Unlock the secrets to crushing your Dynasty draft with our Dynasty Draft Kit today at fantasypros.com/dynasty. All right, last round, D-Bro. We're going to make it a speed round here. First pick, who you going in the third round?
This is the reason why you trade into the third round or you garner the third round picks, because my wide receiver 6 is going to fall probably somewhere in here. Puka Nacua, baby. Come on down. I love his game, and this is part of the part where you just pick your flavor, man. And Puka is going to be on so many of my teams because if you look at his numbers, they jump off the freaking page. Over the last 2 years, 2nd and 6th in yards per route run, 2nd and 30th in PFF receiving grade amongst all wide receivers with 50 more targets. I have him comped as dollar store Deebo Samuel. I love his utility. He was used on the ground at BYU. He's the only reason that anybody will ever talk about Jaron Hall as a prospect. Puka Nacua is going to be one of the best wide receivers in this entire class.
All right, pick number 2, Fitzy, in the third round.
I think we're still in the running back sweet spot. I'm going to tap the depth at this position and go with Eric Gray of Oklahoma, who I think is just going to step right in for someone and be their passing down back from day one. That's where he excels. Dynasty leagues or PPR leagues, I think Eric Gray is going to have a place and be fantasy viable. At least as a running back 4 maybe for Dynasty, right away. I think he's a guy you can play in bye weeks and maybe there's a room for him to be more than a passing down back at some point, but I think he's going to be really good in that role.
I like it. Yeah, that's a good pick. I'm going to take another running back too, Kenny McIntosh from Georgia. I do think that coming into the process that McIntosh was a little bit overrated. I think that the guys coming out of Georgia, the last couple of years were better than him, but this is a guy that can still earn a role. He can do a little bit of everything, and he has a little bit of explosion pass on line of scrimmage that is going to help him at the next level. So landing spot is going to be enormous for him. We don't want him going to the Raiders like Zamir White did and sitting behind Josh Jacobs the whole time because we like Zamir White, but he's getting no playing time, behind one of the greats. And McIntosh could end up in that scenario, but let's hope he doesn't, and I'll take him here early in the third. Pick number 4, D-Bro. Who's it going to be?
I'm going to go with another one of my guys here. Planting flags here, guys. Give me Xavier Hutchinson here. I love his game. He showed out the entire week at the Senior Bowl. I think he's a guy that's going to transition in the NFL and be probably about a 50-50 slot and outside guy, and I love him as a big slot. I think that he can separate and he can win after the catch. So Xavier Hutchinson.
Kind of Isaiah Likely-ish, but with more speed. What do you think, Fitzy? You got pick number 5 here.
All right, I'm going to do it. I'm going to go for Darnell Washington, the big tight end from Georgia. And we're talking about a guy who could be a top 20 pick potentially in the NFL draft. The thing is, and I think you guys agree with me on this, it's hard to see if he's going to be a successful fantasy tight end. Like, because this guy, I mean, you saw him muscle around that blocking sled. It was funny, the montage of Washington moving it around like it was, you know, a box of children's toys while these other tight ends were struggling to like move this thing a couple of feet. And, you know, he's mostly going to be an inline guy at the NFL level. And I'm certainly not as excited as him as I'm going to be about Brock Bowers when he comes out of Georgia next year as a true stud pass catching tight end. But man, I mean, Darnell Washington is so big and so fast. Like, if someone can coax, I don't know, if he gets coached up, maybe, just maybe, with those physical tools, he can be, you know, a really interesting pass catching tight end. In addition to the blocking, we'll see. I'm a little skeptical about what the ceiling might be as a receiver, but with tools like that in the 3rd round, I'll take a chance.
You can squint and see a ton of upside here. The problem is, you know, we see the catch, we see the skills, and we don't think about how he's going to be used on his actual real NFL team. And, you know, 3 of us have experienced enough. He's going to be a blocker most of the time. They're not going to ask him to go out and do a lot of stuff, kind of like when Hayden Hurst was drafted ahead of Mark Andrews to the Ravens. You know, these guys were used in different roles. Hurst was a blocking guy. Andrews was the catching guy. So Darnell Washington could be in a weird spot here. For the 6th pick here, I'm going to take another Tennessee wide receiver in this same spot. Give me Cedric Tillman, the wide receiver out of Tennessee. Look, what he has here is size that you cannot teach. He's 6'3". He's a big guy. He is a red zone target and a potential possession guy. Dealt with a couple injuries last year at Tennessee, which has lowered his stock, but still had a great RAS score, you know, at the combine, a 9.56, which is outstanding. 200 pounds. He can jump to 37-inch vert. So a big dude with athletic skills that is going to win a contested catch, I will take all day. So Cedric Tillman is my 6th pick. Debro, you are up for pick number 7 in 3rd.
I'm glad you made that a little bit easy on me, Boggs. I was bouncing between Cedric Tillman and my pick right here. I'm going to go Marvin Mims, wide receiver out of Oklahoma. He checks so many different analytical boxes that I'll look at. 30 yards per route run last year. He's a 96th percentile college breakout age. He has speed for days, and he is a great after-the-catch guy. So happy to get him here because I think he's going to go overlooked or at least maybe falls a little bit in some rookie drafts.
I like it. Marvin Mims off the board here. You know, look, I watched him a lot. You know, I'm a Texas fan, so I saw a lot of Oklahoma too. Dude is a good wide receiver, so I like that selection. Fitz, you're up again. This is pick number 8 in the 3rd. Who's it going to be?
Running back Sean Tucker of Syracuse, fast dude. I believe he was a former track guy, and he's pretty tough. Like, he's not just a, you know, finesse back or anything. Like, he will not go down with an arm tackle. So Sean Tucker, running back from Syracuse, 308.
I like that one a lot. Yeah, Sean Tucker is needs to be coached up a little bit, but there is tons of meat on the bone there for him. I'm going to take Tucker Kraft, a tight end out of South Dakota State. This is a project pick. I'm not the biggest guy to take a project tight end, but at this point, you're reaching. And, the wide receivers are kind of clumped together. The running backs are getting a little thin. And look, I know it's Superflex. I still don't like a lot of these quarterbacks here. So I'm going to take Tucker Kraft because I think, another guy that is, you see the body, you see he's, skinnier than a regular tight end. This is a pass catching tight end So this is a guy that we would want for fantasy that can work. So give me Tucker Kraft, and that puts Debro up for your last pick number 10 in the third round.
Yeah, I'm with you on Boggs. Like, once you get past Hooker, you can count me out on a lot of different quarterbacks. Like, I like Tanner McKee. The question is what kind of draft capital do any of these guys get? And if they don't go in the top 2 rounds of the NFL draft, if they hit, they're going to be massive, massive outliers. So without having those questions answered at the time we're doing this mock, I can't go with quarterbacks here. Give me a guy that checks so many different boxes from an efficiency standpoint. And again, I don't know where his draft capital, especially coming out of a small school. I want Dewayne McBride out of UAB. If you look at his statistical stuff, he jumps off the freaking page. Like over the last 3 seasons, he is second in yards after contact per attempt, first in yards after contact per attempt in the last 2 years. He has a 93rd percentile college dominator. Basically, this guy broke tackles at UAB like it was his business, baby. And that's the kind of player in the third round that I'm going to sit here and hang my hat on when I'm looking at efficiency metrics. Like, it's insane. Like, his body of work at UAB was absolutely ridiculous. Like, top 10 in basically every tackle breaking metric that you can look at over the last 2 years.
I love Dewayne McBride. He's a lot of fun to watch. Got some good CFF seasons out of him at UAB as well. Fitz, pick number 11 in the third round. Your last pick in this draft. Who are you taking?
All right, man. Let's go with Jonathan Mingo. And speaking of tackle breaking ability, a friend of mine said, watch this guy's tape and tell me if he doesn't remind you of Sterling Sharp, who I think was maybe the toughest wide receiver to tackle that I've ever seen play in the NFL. And Mingo's 6'2", 225. And he surprised me by running a 4.47 at the combine. Like, this dude can move, a little bit of a body catcher, but man, as I said, he is just a load to try to tackle. And I think he also had the second biggest hands of any wide receiver at the combine. So if you're looking for a big physical Anquan Bolden type receiver, I think Jonathan Mingo is a pretty good place to start in this class.
I like this one. I also like that we're kind of showing our separators we're picking a skill, you know what I mean, that we like down here, because that's kind of what it is. Obviously, we'll have more context when these guys get drafted in their teams and stuff right now, but I like that we're picking traits here. My last pick, look, it is a super flex, so I guess I'll take a 5th quarterback. I'll go with Tanner McKee, the quarterback out of Stanford, former number 1 prospect, a 5-star, just enormous 6'6", giant arm, all the skills that you need to be a good quarterback. He went to Stanford, so we know he's smart. We saw Davis Mills carve out a small role for himself in the NFL. I think McKee has more skills than Mills, not meaning to rhyme here, but I think he is more talented than Mills and therefore has a higher ceiling. Most likely going to get drafted as a backup, though, and he'll have to earn it. But it is a super flex, so I wanted to throw at least a 5th QB in here because this is a great draft class that is not loaded with quarterbacks. So your super flex options are a little limited towards the top, but we got a lot of running backs and a lot of wide receivers in this class that can fill out your roster for what you need. And Debro, thank you so much for joining Fitz and I on this mock draft. Sorry you got a little bit sniped there with that Evan Hull pick, but it made for a great moment in this draft. We enjoyed it a lot. Follow him on the Twitter at Debro_FB. And what do you have coming up? Tell us everything, what you're working on, and where they can find you and all that good stuff.
Yeah, man. I mean, obviously all my stuff's at Fantasy Pros, and I'm working on a lot of rookie content still. I'm backfilling a lot of these deeper guys for the class, so I'm still getting through some of the tight ends, some of the wide receivers. Like, I think I've got to watch A.T. Perry this week, and some other running backs. But really, it's all the Dynasty rookies content that's out there, and I'm slowly transitioning to best ball. So this week, next week, I'm going to be working on my best ball targets to sit here and go after in these early best ball drafts.
Fitz at Fitz_FF. What do you got coming up?
Keeping vigil on the free agent watch, writing up blurbs about these guys, and of course, I think I'm going to be doing some of that best ball stuff too, and trying to pick out some of my targets for this year.
Absolutely. Well, for me, you can catch me here, of course, on Fantasy Pros doing the Dynasty Pod. Just put out an article about IDP movement in the free agent market at Fantasy Pros, so check that out if you would as well. And catch me at Bogman Sports. And I got the War Room over on In This League with CK, where we're talking about the free agent class. We'll be doing that next week. Too many moves still to do. We normally would get that done this week, but next week. So lots still to come. So please follow us and check it out. And we hope you enjoyed it. Have a great day, everybody.